Asterisk, once upon a time, there was a kind-hearted king in the land of Shem. His people were very pleased with him. The king had a deep love for flowers and plants and had created a large royal garden in his palace. Asterisk, every day after the Maghrib prayer, he would visit his garden. Asterisk, one day after returning from his garden, the king performed the Isha prayer and went to sleep. Asterisk, in his dream, he saw 4 fairies descending from the sky. Asterisk, one of the fairies spread her hands and a golden stem sprouted from the ground. Asterisk, then the second fairy spread her hands and branches of silver grew on the stem. Asterisk, the third fairy then spread her hands and leaves made of diamonds appeared on those branches. Asterisk, the king was astonished at the sight of this beautiful tree made of gold and silver. Asterisk, suddenly one of the fairies turned into an apple, and a strange creature came and sat on the tree. Asterisk, the creature began eating the red apple. Asterisk, just then, the king woke up, bewildered by this unusual dream. Asterisk, a desire awakened in the king's heart. He wished to have a tree in his garden, just like the one he saw in his dream. The king had an old sage who could interpret dreams. The next day, the king went to him and told him about the dream. Asterisk, the sage said, "The fairies you saw are from the mystical land of Mount Kof. Asterisk, they are held captive by a cruel demon, and they need your help." The king gathered all his soldiers and announced, "Whoever rescues the fairies from the demon will be richly rewarded." Asterisk, greedy for wealth, everyone tried their hardest, but they all returned unsuccessful. The king had a trusted minister. The minister requested permission to undertake this mission, and the king agreed. The minister set out toward Mount Kof. As he passed through a forest, he came across an unusual, injured man writhing in pain. The minister tended to the man's wounds, grateful. The injured man thanked him and asked where he was headed. The minister shared his purpose. The injured man warned, "The demon is very dangerous. Asterisk, I know a chant that might help you. It will allow you to communicate with animals." Asterisk, he taught the minister the chant and then went on his way. Asterisk, after traveling a bit further, the minister saw 2 fish stranded outside a pond. Asterisk, one fish said, "Oh human, please help us. We are dying." Asterisk, the other fish replied, "He won't understand our language." Asterisk, but the minister understood, and he returned the fish to the water. They thanked him and blessed him as he continued on his journey. Soon, he overheard voices. Asterisk, he listened and realized it was the queen ant urging her colony to move quickly to avoid being trampled by the approaching human. Asterisk, the minister smiled, carefully stepped aside and let them pass. Asterisk, as he neared Mount Kof, he spotted a dwarf trapped in some bushes. Asterisk, the minister freed him, and the dwarf thanked him, asking where he was going. The minister explained his mission. The dwarf said, "I have a cloak. If you wear it, you will become invisible." Asterisk, this will help you confront the demon. The dwarf gave him the cloak, and the minister gratefully continued on his journey. Asterisk, at last, he reached Mount Kof and saw a magnificent palace guarded by 2 strange twas and strange creatures. Asterisk, he donned the cloak, becoming invisible, and slipped past the guards. Asterisk, soon, however, the palace erupted in an uproar. Realizing someone had entered, the tall demon was very furious at this. But before the demon could act, the minister appeared and calmly explained that he meant no harm. He only wished for the fairies' freedom and was willing to offer anything in return. The demon laughed, but the minister assured him he would fulfill any demand. Asterisk, the demon told him that if he did 2 tasks, he would release those fairies. The minister agreed. The demon then removed a beautiful ring from his finger and threw it into a river. Asterisk, saying, "I want this ring back by morning." Asterisk, the minister worried about finding the ring in such a vast river. But he remembered the fish. He called them and explained the situation. The fish promised to find the ring by dawn, and they did. delivering it to him, asterisk, the minister presented the ring to the demon, asterisk, the demon, impressed but undeterred, set another task. Asterisk, he poured 3 sacks of millet onto the ground, saying by noon tomorrow I want all this millet back in the sacks. Asterisk, the minister was troubled again. But soon an army of ants arrived and filled the sacks by noon. The demon was astonished. The minister declared, I have completed your tasks. Now let the fairies go. Asterisk, the demon laughed and sneered. You humans are so gullible. I lied to you. I have no intention of freeing the fairies. Asterisk, furious, the minister swiftly donned the cloak, drew his dagger, and struck the demon in the chest. Asterisk, the demon let out a terrible scream and fell dead. Asterisk, the minister went to the dungeon and freed the fairies. Asterisk, they lifted him and flew him back to the king. Asterisk, the fairies thanked the king and, as a gift, created a tree in his garden, just like the one he had seen in his dream. Asterisk, the king, honoring his promise, awarded much of his estate to the minister. Asterisk, the fairies then happily returned to their mystical land.